Hello, hello. Just give us a few minutes. We're going to be going live with Jack Bosch. Let's see who's here.
Great. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
I'm wonderful, man. Thanks. Are you back in town yet?
I am, yes. I spent the last month on Maui, Hawaii, where we have a place, and worked from there. It wasn't all vacation, but worked from there a little bit. But usually because of the time change, we started early, got up like at 6:30 in the morning or so, and worked from there until about 11 or so. Which 11 in the morning is 2 p.m. in the afternoon in Phoenix and 5 p.m. on the East Coast. And since some of our team members are international, some of our team members are on the East Coast, that worked just fine. And then from 11:30 or so, we had the rest of the day to just horse around, go to the beach, and just have a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I follow you, so I see all the beautiful pictures, your family, just having a good time. And talking about your staff, Molly's been working directly with your staff. Everyone's been very communicative,
Awesome.
very, very easy to work with.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I love what you got going on over there. So, we just want to spend a few minutes, man. You're going to be with us majority of the week next week. So we just want to kind of hop on live for our members and anyone out there who might be watching. Let them know about what you got going on this upcoming week and how they can be involved. And so maybe take, a few minutes and chat with you. How about that?
Absolutely. I'm just going to get myself comfortable here in my home office. And after turning the AC a little bit lower, because I was sweating out here. And so my name is Jack Bosch. Delighted. I'm going to be excited to come to Esria this Monday. I'm kind of coming to Esria probably every other year for the last bunch of years. I'm actually a member of Esria. I was at the very first meeting that Esria ever had, back when the Esria member cards had membership numbers. My wife's membership number is 0002. My membership number is 0003. So we're basically the second and third member Esria ever had. Been a member ever since. I can honestly say being a member of Esria and the information I've gotten from it has literally made us multiple seven figures. So you're at the right place. If you're brand new to Esria, or if you're trying to figure out real estate investing, then you're at the right place. For example, in 2009, during the last recession, I attended Esria and they shared the numbers. So they shared the state of the union, the state of the market. And I realized that you could pick up properties way, way cheap than houses, because I'm the land guy, right? I'm in land and flipping. So I'm going to talk about how to make the same or more money with land flipping than people make with house flipping without any of the hassles that come with houses, right? So, and how to make land cash flow and so on. But I also have some houses. So we have over 1,000 apartment units. Now we have a portfolio of rental houses, and all that started thanks to Esria too. So it's not just because I was attending that meeting one time, and I realized how cheap you could buy houses back in 2009. And I never thought I would ever buy a house, because we were making and continue to make really good money with land flipping. But when I saw that you could buy them so cheap, and I learned that at Esria, I went out and I started buying a bunch of single family houses, which, thanks to the cash flow we were making from land, and we still make from land, we were able to just pay cash for these houses. So that was fantastic. But that's all. I mean, I love Esria. I'm always going to be a fan of Esria. I'm always going to be a renewing member of Esria. It's an absolute fantastic place to be.
Awesome, man. We love having you, man. Appreciate everything you've done for our members. You've been training our members for years.
Oh yeah, that too.
And when you come on Monday, that market update you're talking about, we do that every month.
Right.
All right. So you can see what's going on in the market, what's been happening, and kind of see where it might be going, so you can adjust your business accordingly. So I hear that kind of stories, those type of stories all the time from our members. So you're not just gonna get Jack on Monday, you're gonna also get the market update. So
absolutely right. Yes. So again, I've been a member of Esria forever, and I live here in Phoenix, actually in Paradise Valley. And what we do is we flip land. So and actually, as I learned over the years, flipping is technically the wrong term for it, because most people, when they hear flip, what they hear is fix and flip. So what we do is we wholesale land, right? So and what we have found out is basically a method on how you can get pieces of land all over the country, sight unseen, from owners that no longer want these properties, and how you can pick them up for anywhere between usually 10 and about 45 cents on the dollar. So you take a $50,000 property and pick it up anywhere between $5 and let's say $18,000 or so, or $5 and $20,000, and then you turn around and you sell it for about 60 to 70% of market value. So if you pick it up for 10 grand and you sell it for $35,000, you make a $25,000 profit without seeing the property, without having to estimate repairs, without having to deal with a bank, without having to even have boots on the ground, because there's nobody that needs to go on the property and estimate repairs. There's nothing you need to do there, and you can do it all virtually from the comfort of our home. Like, for example, while we're in Hawaii right now, we sold a 20-acre parcel, 20 or 40, I forgot already, but I think it was a 20-acre parcel in Utah, and we made $25,000 in the process. We made $25K from Hawaii, with the seller being in, I don't know where the seller was, somewhere in a different state, the buyer being in California, the property being in Utah, us not having seen the property, not having met the buyer, not having met the seller, and doing it all virtually from the comfort of our condo in Hawaii. And then basically when closing happened, a mobile notary just came to our condo, we signed some documents, they FedExed it back, and we got a wire for $25,000.
Wow. So my first question, I think some people might think, who buys this land? Was it in the middle of a city, or was it out in the outskirts?
That one was in the middle of nowhere, in a completely rural area. But when I say middle of nowhere, I don't mean that negative. I mean that actually just in a rural area that in itself was attractive. So what I mean that we focus on three kinds of properties. Property number one is what we call infill lots. So infill lots, everyone kind of knows what that is. You go look around Phoenix, you drive to towns, you see a street, 35 houses, one empty lot, right? So typically these are not in master plan communities, which are usually built out, but they're like in organically grown neighborhoods, larger lots, little custom home neighborhoods, or just neighborhoods where no master plan was built. But there's lots of neighborhoods. So if you start looking for them, you start driving through town, you see them all the time. So these properties are typically, let's say if a property like that is worth, let's say the neighborhood is an average Phoenix neighborhood, houses are worth $400,000, $500,000, which is basically the standard, normal, nothing too crazy neighborhood here in Phoenix. So you go, these lots are, let's say, worth 100 grand. So you can pick them up for about 50 grand. In this case, you pay a little bit more for them, and you turn around and sell them right away and sell them, in this case, to a builder for about 70 grand, 75 grand. Because builders are typically good at one thing, which is building. They're typically not great marketers. You think about it, the builder is, how does a builder sell a property? To a realtor, right? The builder goes out and sells it to the realtor. So the builders don't know how to sell a property. How does a builder typically buy the land? Do they have a marketing strategy? Do they go send out direct mail? Do they knock on doors? Do they find out who owns certain parcels? No. They just go on the MLS, or they get calls, they look for deals. Well, guess what? We can be the deal bringer for the builders. Because what we do is we have identified the strategy to find those lots and get them for a discount. Right?
Got it.
So we get those deals for 60 grand, sell them for 80 to the builder, make 20 grand, move on. And by the way, when you do that, you can do a wholesale, you can do an assignment, you can do a double closing, right? You can use transactional funding. You don't even need 60 grand of your own money in order to do that. It's not necessary.
And then are you going to break, some of this down, like how to find those buyers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mondays
and
and Tuesday in Tucson, Monday and Tuesday are going to be like an overview about the process steps and kind of how this works. And then obviously coming back, I believe Wednesday for a bonus session on particularly one aspect of our business that is a bit different than house flipping that I'll cover in a second. And then I'm coming back on Saturday for in half day or all day. I don't know exactly. Is it 9 to 1 or so, or 1 to 2 or something, or 9 to 3? I don't know exactly. Whatever you guys want me to do.
I'll find out.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a full day here
it's
at the office.
Okay, so 9 to 3 typically is kind of like what I do. And there we basically going to be able to take every step and individually go out as much as we need to and answer questions all day long and really dig into the details on how this all works. Yeah. So The second way
Can
we
I
do
throw a
this,
couple questions?
the second kind of property is we
Okay.
actually like infill. We like lots in the path of growth. So like Phoenix is growing like in leaps and bounds. Like you go North Phoenix
Yeah.
is growing, West Phoenix is growing like crazy, South Phoenix, Pinal County is growing. So if you go outside of the city limits, that's where a lot of growth is happening. That means when with growth, prices are going up. So we're selling that to a couple of people, different kind of people. One is financial buyers that just want to hold on to the land and wait for it to appreciate. One of them is again developers. One of them might be also retirees that can't afford to retire in the city. With a Phoenix house costing over $400,000 now, even in the west side of town, even in the lower priced areas, a lot of people have been priced out of the market. So if they're wanting to have a dignified retirement, they might have to buy something 20 miles outside of town that they can put a mobile home on there. And guess what? We provide that to them. And then lastly is the larger acreage, like think northern Arizona, think southern Arizona, and that's I think and the same is in Utah. People from Salt Lake City, they love the outdoors. So that was somebody probably from somewhere in California or Salt Lake City that bought that 20 acres from us and just wants it to horse around, to play around with it, to go bow hunting, to go dirt biking, to just have fun.
And like for those those unique ones outside of a developer, I'm assuming there's maybe websites, there's ways to reaching these type of buyers. You'll work with it. Show us how to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's we typically sell them through different websites. You can put them on the MLS through services like brokerlessmls.com. You can put them up on Zillow. You can put them up on even on Facebook Marketplace. I'll go through all of that in detail, in a lot of detail. I'll show you exactly how the listing works, especially on Saturday. I have the time to go into a lot of detail of how we correctly take the listing, because the reason why we sell these properties so quickly is that we know how to structure a land listing for a quick sale, because you actually sell land differently than you sell houses. In houses, you typically, realtors get trained on how to sell houses. Most realtors never got trained on how to sell a piece of land. And you can't do an open house on a piece of land. You can't stage a piece of land. You can't get the photographer in to take pictures of a tree in particularly nice ways, right? You don't have them. You got to do different things. People buy land for a different reason. People buy land in order to have that retirement place. People buy land in order to horse around. So you got to describe the land in a completely different way. It's not harder. It's just completely different. So it's actually easier, and so we will describe that too.
So as a new person or someone new to the land, part of this business, the first thing that pops in my mind is, what about due diligence? Like what kind of stuff as a new land flipper, even if I've been in the business a while, like I start thinking, utilities, water, like what are things that as a wholesale flipper or land flipper, what do we look for? What do we need to know?
Yeah, so you do a little bit due diligence, but again, even that I'll lay out for you guys that there's a sequence of how we do that. And the sequence is actually everything we do is designed for you to do the most with the least effort. Now, of course, there's work involved. I just want to make sure this is not like something where you wake up wealthy the next morning. You still got to do some work. But because there's no tenants, there's no toilets, there's no termites, there's no repairs, there's no estimates, you don't have to meet contractors, you don't have to get a loan to put a piece of land on a contract for $10,000 and then sell it for $35,000 again, right? So there's much less tentacles around, so it's much simpler. But then, of course, once you have a deal, and plus we're using a contract that you can back out of any time for any reason. You have plenty of time to do due diligence once you have it on a contract. So we backload everything. You don't have to do much research at the beginning, but once you have a deal on a contract, you do a lot of research. And yes, of course, at that point of time, you figure out, are there utilities, or is there any environmental issues on the property? How is there groundwater? Is the electricity right to the property, or is it 100 feet off? All these things are not super important before you get the deal on the contract. But the nice part is, all of that is nowadays available at your fingertips to the county websites or with a phone call to a couple of people in the county. So again, everything can be done from at home. As a matter of fact, we have a student in Germany that is doing, this year is on track. He's in his second year doing this already, but this year he's on track to making $4 million in profits from land flipping from the comfort of his home in Frankfurt, Germany, and actually has a place in Mallorca, Spain. And so he spends a few weeks in Mallorca, a few weeks in Frankfurt, a few weeks in Mallorca, a few weeks in Frankfurt, and perhaps once or twice a year he comes over to the US. But even during COVID, when he could not even get into the United States, he already made multiple six figures from Germany and Spain in the United States. So I'll show you exactly how to do this business anywhere in the country. Because one question I always get is like, people look around, is like, well, if 100 people or whatever, the room is full with 100 people or 300 people, if 300 people now get into land flipping, isn't that going to cause a lot of competition?
Yep.
Well, here's the beauty of it. First of all, land flipping has almost no competition. For every 100 house flippers, there's probably one land flipper. And secondly, because this is 100% virtual, you can do it anywhere in the United States. So yes, I have been training as RIA members for many years, and they're doing fantastic. Many of them don't do deals in Arizona because they just fell in love with, I don't know, Nebraska. They're doing deals in Nebraska or Alabama or Florida or Illinois or Kentucky or Texas or Oklahoma or you name it, like, or California for that matter, or and so on. So you really, if there's 100 people attending this, then it might add 10, 15 people in Arizona, and guess what? We're just selling 25 properties in Arizona that we've gotten. We don't even know there's any competition here.
So at the end of the day, you and your students are highly active right now.
Oh yeah,
so
of course, yes.
That's awesome, man. So just a brief. So if anyone has any questions for Jack, please throw them in the comments. We don't want to take up too much of his time. I know he's busy, but we do have this upcoming Monday, August 8th, at Venue 8600 in Scottsdale. Jack will be presenting his program, Land Flipping, with us. We're going to drive down to Tucson August 9th at the Tucson Association of Realtors. Come back to Phoenix at our office in Central Phoenix on 16th Street in Camelback for the drill down. We'll spend 2 hours talking about seller financing. And then back on Saturday for a full day, August 13th, here at the Phoenix office. All this information's on our website, asria.org. So yeah, we'd love to have everyone come out and for showing up, as Ria is known to do, for showing up at the main meeting on Monday or Tuesday, you always get the best pricing for these events and these educational events. So by attending Monday or Tuesday, you will get the best pricing for Wednesday and Saturday.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, and I'm going to show you how to make land cash flow, and that's going to be the drill down for Wednesday, by the way, because we have developed a process that you can make massive cash flow from land, and I'll cover that obviously Monday and explain how it works. But then on Wednesday, I'm really going to dive into the numbers and how you can make that into 5 figures. I mean, we built this up to over $71,000 a month in pure free and clear cash flow without tenants and toilets from land, which then allowed us, when the market was crashing in 2009, to actually take that and buy all these free and clear houses that were on sale. And these houses, we still own them, and they're now worth like millions and millions of dollars, and they're all free and clear.
Awesome, man. And we got a question popped in from Thomas. For someone just getting started, what's the best first steps to take?
Well, the best first steps is to attend the ASRIA meeting, because I'm going to lay out the exact steps for that. But then the best first steps, as I will lay out, is you gotta identify which of those 3 kinds of properties that I talked about you want to go after, which ones you're most comfortable with. Like, there's some people that are 100% comfortable going after $1 million properties on day one, right? There's also people that are like, they're not comfortable with that. They're going after $20,000 pieces of land to start out with. Obviously, you make on $1 million property, you won't get that for 10 cents on the dollar, but you might get that for $600,000, and you flip it for $750,000 and you make $150,000. Right? There's a little bit more sophistication involved in that, because typically your sellers are more sophisticated, your buyers more sophisticated, so it requires a little bit more experience. But the $20,000 deal, you're dealing with somebody who just has inherited that piece of property, doesn't want it anymore. You give them $3,000 and they're like happy, they take it, and then you put it on the market and sell it for $12,000 and you make $9,000. Great, right? Or is that $8,000? So you do that all day long. So the best part to start with is like, which price range do you feel comfortable in? And then from that, as a second step, is like, where do you want to do deals? We have students that absolutely want to see a couple of their deals first. They feel most comfortable in the market they live in. And we have many, many students that are like, no, if I don't have to see the properties, I go do deals in Florida.
Yeah.
Right. So you choose whether you want to be in the infill lots, or you want to be in the path of growth, or you want to go after these larger properties, whatever you feel most comfortable, because based on that, then you pick areas around the country that you want to do this, and we'll cover that all, particularly on Saturday where we have lots of time. So there's a very logical step of events, but the first thing you want to do is go just for fun. Go on Facebook Marketplace and look for some land. Go on land.com or landwatch.com and look for some land. And what you'll find is that there's a big market for land that nobody even knew existed. That nobody knows existed. There's hundreds of thousands of pieces of parcel that change hands every single year. All you need to do is you need to get some of those, put them on that marketplaces, and do it the right way, the way that I'm going to show you. And you can make a ton of money in land without dealing with tenants, termites, banks, lenders, repairs, or air conditions or anything like that. I got the air conditioned guys in the house right now because one of our air conditioners is leaking downstairs into the bathroom. The other one has something else broken. I mean, it's like houses are fantastic. I love them. We have a bunch of them. But you know what? They're way more hassle than just flipping a piece of land that you don't need to see and that you get for 10 cents on a dollar.
And I could see, like what you said, I like what you said, how there's 100 house flippers to one land flipper. And in our world, the marketing that we do to find a homeowner that wants to sell at a discount is tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
Like tens of thousands of dollars, direct mail, PPC, cold calling, VAs.
There's a big, what's called barrier of entry into house flipping, because you got to be ready to dedicate weeks and 10 hours a day and things, and a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars to get in marketing to get a deal. Guess what? Our students get an average deal for every 750 to 1,000 letters they send out.
I mean, that reminds me of 2010 with houses.
Right. So
not anymore, man.
Yeah. So if you have, it does require a little bit of marketing. So if you have a few $1,000s to do marketing, you can very reasonably get deals lined up. And again, I just talked to one of our students yesterday. She got an entire portfolio of 20 deals that she's going to make, small deals. They're like $4,000, $6,000 properties that she can sell for $4,000, but she's paying $400 a property. So she makes $3,600 a pop times 20. That's for $72,000 on those alone, right? Wow. Then she's gonna make. Then she has another deal on the contract that she's making another 75 grand that closes next week, and another one that she's currently getting an easement on. That's a little bit more advanced work, but then she'll make $150,000 on that. So there's just 3 packages of deals, and we're talking 150, 270. We're talking $300,000.
Wow,
that's
amazing.
And that is in markets where everyone is fighting over houses. But land deals are there. Very few people have ever thought about it. It's simpler than house flipping. Just most people don't think about it.
Yeah, I jokingly say at all the meetings, this is, people say push button, work from in your pajamas from home. But I was like, this is something you actually can do from home, man. Virtually the whole process. Yeah. Love it, man. Half hour flew by, man. So, anyone that's jumping on, we have Jack Bosch here. If you have any last minute questions you want to throw in, feel free to throw them in. But otherwise, you can go to esria.org. Jackson be with us August 8th, 9th, 10th, and 13th next week. Also, if you're catching the replay on this, you don't know who Jack at the Esria show, we have a podcast that came out last Friday. It's on YouTube and all podcast platforms. So you can spend an hour with Jack getting to know who he is and what he's about. So check out the podcast to learn more about him, and then hopefully we'll see you next week. Any last things you want to leave with us, Jack?
No, just wrap up? I remember sometime one of our millionaires. We were on a mission to create 1,000 millionaires. That's why we do this. Okay. And one of our millionaires came up to me and says, like, you know what? How I find you, Jack? And I was like, no, tell me. And he's like, well, I found this podcast by somebody else, and they had 10 episodes out there, and I wanted to listen to all 10 of them. And I looked at them first, and I figured out which sequence I'm going to listen to them. And I saw that land flipping stuff, and it's like, nah, that's the thing. That's like, what the heck is that? I'm not going to listen to this, or I'm going to put it at the very end. So they listened to all 9 of them, And then finally, when they listened to the 10th of them, afterwards, they were like, oh my God, I've always underestimated land flipping. I had no idea you could do all these things with land. I had no idea there was no competition. I had no idea you could do this all virtual. And oh my God, I need to do this. And now he's one of our millionaires. So don't underestimate land flipping. Don't think it's just this kind of niche thing that you do when you as you do house flipping and as you find a deal here and there. I mean, for the house flippers, if you want to add land flipping to it, you can totally do that. As house flippers told me countless times, until they heard from me, they walked by millions of dollars of land that they did not know what to do. So at the very least, attend in order to open your eyes to what's possible with land that you currently have been passed by without paying attention to. But if you're a beginning investor, make sure you give it a fair chance, because you will be blown away by how scalable, how simple, and how fun land flipping can be.
Love it, man. Well, I think you ended it perfectly. Well, we'll wrap up and end it right there. So yeah, Jack, I look forward to seeing you on Monday. We'll have a good time, and you have a good weekend, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.